There you go. We're live. So now you can talk about how bad the economy is. You inherit spending
I
money
was
trying to
just
help the
saying before we
economy.
went live, I was saying apologies for being slightly late today. I miscalculated my timings. And then I said, well, it's not as bad as miscalculating the global economy, is it? So,
That is very true. That is very true. And before that,
Okay.
this is the guy who wrote the book on how to be a social media YouTube star. He had to figure out how to set up his earpieces and his cables, and that was the best. You don't see
well,
a professional doing that, so
no,
that was
well, the
good.
thing is that I normally do that all in advance so that I look all
Right?
slick and ready.
Yeah.
But you saw me do it live then, and obviously, like one is because I have two mics and one of them's charged and one of them is not. So I was like, oh, which one is charged? And then I
Oh
had to
my
do the
God.
various adapters and this and that. And then, of course, tangled earphones, tangled. How do they still get tangled? I thought we'd got past that.
Right.
No.
I
No.
thought we'd be.
No. That's why you use.
I
That's
don't
why we
like the
use wireless.
AirPoddy things. I don't like the AirPoddy things that
Why?
you've got. You see, I don't
Why?
know. I have this psychological fear that I will lose them. As soon as I get them, I will lose
Okay.
one of them, and then that will be it. And I'm just so these things are attached by a wire, so it's like okay, can't lose it. If
Right.
you
But
lose it, you lose
see,
the whole thing.
these come in this. So what I do is when I'm done with them, I put them in this,
Yeah, but what if
and then
they
when I
like fall
travel.
out and then they
No,
just
I'm
like
not running with them. I'm sitting at a desk talking. It's not like I'm not doing like a 26-mile marathon here.
you don't go jogging and take business
Not with
calls and stuff?
these. No, 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 no,
No.
no. When I work out and so when I work out or I go run with the dog, I want Simon and Garfunkel's "The Sound of Silence."
The
It's
sound of
like I
silence.
want to just. I
The
like to.
literal sound of
Yeah,
silence then.
I
Not
just do my thing, and I want to hear
right.
nature, and I want to like the breathing, and it's just I don't yeah I'm not one of those
Oh,
you connected
that's
24/7 guys.
that's
I'm
so
very much
old.
a when
That's so
I'm done.
old
I'm old
school.
school. I am an
That's
old school
old
guy. Yeah,
school.
yeah.
Oh,
Now
I want to be
sometimes,
one with nature.
oh
I
my
want to
God,
hear the sounds of and the cow shit smells and I know, man. Seriously, leave,
listen,
leave.
I don't listen. I didn't say I
You're
want
the
to be
city
one with nature.
boy.
I just
I don't
like to
know.
I like
I
this.
run along the high road, breathing in the fumes of
I was
the
gonna
There
say
you
diesel
go.
cars.
London smells a lot worse, I
There
guarantee
you
you,
go.
than the cow shit we have to smell because that when I
So,
was in the
but no,
tube,
but
I thought
it's just
something had died.
yeah. It's like that.
It's
These
not
I
nice. You're right. It's not
no.
nice, honestly.
But this is just nice to have for like this kind of a dialogue or a conference call or a
Yeah,
Zoom call. But when I'm working out, I don't want music blaring. I want to
yeah.
just work out. If I need music to pump me up, I shouldn't be working out.
Well,
That's
I
I
felt
never got that.
I
Totally
used to be
wrong.
I was part of the
Totally.
Walkman generation, right? So
I
like
remember the Walkman.
the Sony Walkman, we all
Sure.
had to have one and stuff like that. So we were walking around with those little spongy little earphones, and stuff like
Sure.
that. And
But those are
then this,
better. See, the thing that Shazan has in his ears, do you have like the little silicone like
yeah,
pad on it? So
yeah,
my friend got that stuck in his ear and he
no
pulled it
way.
out. That was stuck in his ear and had to go to the ER and have it removed.
Is
So
that the
now
same
I'm
one who had a
afraid to
gerbil
use
stuck? No.
That's kind of embarrassing when you go through.
Yeah.
yeah.
What
So
seems to
now
be
I'm
the
afraid of
problem, sir?
those.
I have
I'd much
silicone in
rather
my
have these.
ear. Yeah,
Yeah.
try some earwax remover. No, it's a little bit more substantial than
It
that.
really
So
had to go in and
Oh
yeah,
my God.
so
oh,
I think I'd rather have the gerbil. But anyway, that's just me. So with that being said, kids, let's do this for the fans that are listening worldwide.
hey fans.
This is True OF Entertainment.
There you go.
forgot we
Now
had
we're
the
now we're
plugs
officially
yet.
live. Hey, and let me
Now we're
just throw
officially
this
live.
out there. We're officially something. Let me just throw this out there for the fans. You can catch these shows on podcast. Your show number 190, and today I think is 757, is one of the top 5 all-time downloads on our podcast side, not our video side, where we talked about UFOs and Bob Lazar and whatnot. So that's like a year plus ago, but that is number 5 still in the top downloads. So congratulations.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much, everybody.
There you
Yay!
go.
Where's all the
Yeah.
tinkle? Where's all the
Oh, hold on.
celebration?
Sorry. Hold
And
on. We
where's
want
all that stuff?
fireworks. Okay. Let me
The
give you the
fireworks.
fireworks. Hold on,
God,
geez.
come on.
Wow.
Get
Prima
with the
donna.
effects. There you go.
So I
There you go.
realized.
It's all
There you
coming
go.
out the back of his head. He's
There you
got.
go. Some
Well,
balloons, a little more party
There
confetti,
you go.
a
Yeah.
little more fireworks. There you go.
Everything.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Who knew he was a
We
prima
should probably do another one on UFOs and aliens. And
Sure.
so anybody that's watching this, if they want us to do another one, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us that, that
You know who we should have on the show that day? You know who we did a cigar show.
E.T.
E.T.
Yeah,
We see
yes.
E.T. He phones home from my house every day. The bills
There
are
you go.
huge. But we had Raza during Ramadan, because apparently you can't smoke or drink or do anything during the day. Usman, I know, I am aware. Usman was too busy getting high on food because we would be doing the show just as he was breaking his fast. So one show Raza and I did was on UFOs, pyramids, and all that. So if we're going to do that like next month, we should invite him, because I understand you two had tea, like little ladies, last week together, and I thought that was very nice. That he,
we didn't have tea. We had karak chai, right? Get it right.
Listen, there's a lady present.
We had karak chai. We had chai. So chai is obviously tea in Urdu and Hindi. And then karak is like solid, man. So this is like a very traditional form of tea making, where the tea is cooked and cooked and it's with the milk and the sugar and everything in it, and it's cooked until the flavor is so intense that you can taste it without just by looking at it.
Wow. Wow, that is awesome.
That's what we had. So we had some karak chai and kebabs, and as you do, and I gave him some of my books. I was like, Raza, I have published 3 books in the time that I last saw him. So I'm like, okay, there you go.
Wow, that's like 18 months. So I see him more than you do. It's very funny, because you guys literally live like 3 kilometers
down the road.
Each other.
He's just down the road.
I always get a kick out of that. He said on the show, he goes, guess who I had tea with on last week? And I was like, who? He goes, I was like, oh, okay. And I was thinking to myself, like,
don't you do that every weekend?
You can throw a stone and hit each other, and you see each other every 18 months. I shouldn't speak. Vicky and I are the same distance. Raza, right? Vicky and I are the same distance, and we never see each other. Like, that's because of the restraining order. But
that's how I like it.
We're good. That's right. Apparently, they frown upon it when you sit in front of their house with binoculars. Who knew?
Who knew? So how long is that in effect then? That restraining order?
For a while.
Okay.
Who knows? Apparently, laws don't mean anything here anymore, so it could be gone tomorrow. For all we know.
Does anything mean anything anymore?
No.
To be honest,
no. We got the new president that just grabs whatever he wants.
Is he still new? Are you still calling him new?
I call him a lot of things. New is not one of them.
New is the nicest thing we call him.
God. Well, look at it this way: the market's lost. As of yesterday, I haven't seen what today is, like $9 trillion.
Before you get into it, I want to get into it. Like you live in that world, right? You're Mr. Finance, so you understand how all that works.
26.
And you've probably lost a couple of billion just while chatting, et cetera.
The minute he became president, we yanked everything and put it in cash, baby.
Put it all in Dubai.
That's true. You don't even know.
Exactly. But for little old me, like the ordinary person, and I think maybe I can include Vicky in this, we're ordinary people, and I'm just sitting there and I'm going, this doesn't affect me. None of this, this is all this crazy high-end economic stuff going on. And on my banking app in my phone, for some reason, I've got a couple of my pension pots. They always display on there. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm like, it's comforting to see, even though it's a meager, minuscule amount, but it's comforting to see that there's something in there,
Right.
And I know the amount, what it is, and incrementally it might go up a little bit every now and then. And I've just seen several thousand wiped off it. And I'm like, what the heck just happened there? There I was thinking, I might have enough to eat when I retire. And I'm like, okay, it's only fluids from now on. That's
tea. It's tea you had with Raza last week.
It's a chai.
This is Ramadan Permanento. That's what we're going to do. Fasting the whole way through to the end now. That's it.
There you go. So was there a question in there?
So Dr. Stevens, can you explain what the hell is happening to our money? Why is it just evaporating before our very eyes?
That is literally what's happening. So Biden, who a lot of people called Sleepy Joe and whatever, actually his administration had a very strong economy, not just for the United States, but globally. What Mr. Trump has decided is that it seems, and a lot of economists are saying this, it's more revenge driven. I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't know, whatever it might be. So when he was saying, I'm going to do tariffs and I'm going to do this, and Americans that don't know what a tariff is like, yeah, China's going to pay and this one's going to pay and blah, 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 blah. What maybe he doesn't know, I'm assuming he does, but what he forgot to tell people is when you shake up the global economy by having China pay more, having us pay more, you hurt everything, as you can tell in the markets, right? The markets die. So your pension, I'm assuming, will be tied to some sort of stock or bond. So because the markets lost $9 trillion and 5 trillion pounds, if we're going to be correct, your part of your stock has gone down. Now everything's technical. At some point it goes back up. But what people don't realize is that we're in for a rough ride. Like some economists are calling stagflation, others are calling for a recession. I still say we haven't gotten out of the 2008 depression. So I think it'll be worse. But what people don't understand is that when they say China's going to pay, China doesn't pay in a tariff. We discussed this yesterday. The importer pays the tariff. And if I'm the importer for Walmart and I say to Walmart, hey, the t-shirts now, instead of costing $1, cost $1.50, we're going to, the other 50 cents has to go somewhere, right? So the consumer pays more, whether it's food, whatever, it goes down the pike. So because of that and because of everything he's doing, the markets are uncertain. Everyone's pulling out of mutual funds, hedge funds, all the funds, and they're all going into cash because they're not sure what's going to happen. And it was also announced today, the Panama Canal, that the Panamanian government probably isn't going to approve BlackRock and their group taking it over because the Hong Kong group owes them like $100 million in taxes. I love it. So it's just this Hazarai for the people that aren't Jewish. That means crazy stuff that's going on. And it doesn't seem there's a plan. It'd be different if you got on a podium and said, here's what we're going to do. For the next 18 months, it's going to be crazy. Here's why. And then on 19th month, this is what's going to happen. But it doesn't seem like they have a clue.
I saw a video on TikTok or Instagram, and I think it's one of the chief. Yes, it's not true. It's one of the chief financial advisors or one of his chief finance guys, and they're asking him these questions, and his answer to every question is like, "Let's wait and see." I don't know. And I'm like, really? Aren't you the guys that have? Isn't there a plan? Clearly, there's no plan. There's no plan. Okay, let's just do this and see what happens. And what else somebody was saying was that normally, when something like this happens into the global markets, the world leaders, and particularly the powerful world leaders, i.e. the President of America, would be trying to steady the ship. They'd be doing everything possible to calm the nerves down, to steady everything down, to calm people. But the opposite, the complete opposite seems to be happening here, because if anything, more tariffs are being threatened and promised. And just to add to your brilliant explanation of what tariffs actually are and who they actually impact, again, I think it was on Instagram or TikTok, I saw a Chinese guy, and he was sitting there. Chinese guy, and he was sitting there, and he was TikTok, and he was smirking a little bit. It was probably not TikTok then, or maybe. Anyway, he's smirking, and he was holding up a shoe, and he was going, we make this in our factory for about $5. Yeah, and in America it sells for $250. Right. So who's ripping who off? At the end of the day, it's like, you think that we've been ripping you off. It's like, now you go and make this for $5. You go ahead. It's like, China is not really worried, honestly. I don't feel, ultimately they're going to be okay out of this.
China's not. In fact, China is laughing now all the way to the bank, because what's happening is globally, the trading partners that were kind of like, oh, China, we don't. Now China's sort of like, hey, China, can we do stuff with you? So what's happening is they're doing all these different things with China, even Russia. Everyone's laughing all the way to the bank except America.
Stephen, tell me this, right? Because you would know. Maybe Vicky would know as well, because you have Far Eastern connections as well, obviously, in Korea.
Her boyfriend's the ex-president of Korea. Come on.
Exactly.
Both Koreas.
But if you say, from what you've said, China's got the right idea. They're like, okay, well, if America doesn't want to do business, we got the rest of the world. Right. Why isn't Europe thinking like that? Because Europe is just freaking out right now. Europe is having a nervous breakdown. They're pulling all the money out of the banks and putting them under their mattresses. That's what Europe is doing collectively right now. Yeah. It's just having a meltdown. Middle East is just quietly sitting there, pulling more oil out of the ground, going, yeah, we'll sell more of this stuff, no problem. And China is like, whoop-de-doo, we'll do business with the rest of the world. What is wrong with Europe, honestly?
Vicky, would you like to field that one?
Oh, no.
Okay. So
we'll come back to the Korea question in a minute.
Yeah, it's just like, how's your boyfriend?
Where do I start? What's wrong with Europe? Where do I begin?
So the problem with Europe is, and here's what's really funny. it's sort of like, and we joke about the Falkland Island attack when the British attacked the Falkland Islands. It's like, Argentina was like, they're attacking us. Well, I don't know.
Right.
They told you for the last 2.5 weeks that they're coming and they're sending ships. And then when they attacked them, they're like, we're under attack. Like it was a shock.
Mm.
The minute Trump won the presidency, the EU were like making plans, but they weren't really making, they were doing a lot of talking because everyone's like, Donnie's not going to do that, Donnie.
Yeah.
And now it's happened. So they had this 3-month, 4-month period where they could have actually prepared and they didn't. And so now it's like a shock to them. It's sort of like when Russia rolled through Eastern Europe 50 years ago or 80 years ago, whatever it is. It's the same thing. And Europe's not, they have their heads either up their butts or they're ostriches and they're in the sand. So they didn't plan for it. And their planning is so haphazard now that there's no thought to it. It's kind of like Trump, but in reverse.
Mm.
If I was in the EU, or they're running the EU and they're like, oh, he got elected. He's already told us he's going to screw our world up. What are we going to do? Who do we need to partner with? I would like backdoor deals. The minute he would be like, there's going to be this tariff and that tariff. No problem, Donnie. We're good. America, we don't need you. Hey, China, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do here. And the problem is that they're all playing by the 17th century. We're going to be ladies and gentlemen, and no one's playing by, if you will, New York, Donnie Trump rules. So I understand what Donnie's doing. He's being a New Yorker, like F you, F, and everyone else is trying to be very, hello, nice to see you. I'm going to have my tea. And that's not the way it works. I mean,
let's be
China's
civil
got-
about the whole thing, shall we? Yes.
Right.
Oh, that wouldn't be morally, ethically correct, would it? Oh.
And it's during like the American Revolution, right? The
Yeah.
British would line up in the lines, and the guys would shoot, then the next guys would shoot, and meanwhile, the Americans or the people that became Americans, they're hiding in trees, picking them off, and they're like, "I'm sorry, that is not civil." Well, no, and so Trump's doing the same thing while Europe's trying to be civil. In China, I give Xi a lot of credit. Xi's like, "F you." We don't need you. We'll do this. We'll do that. So it's becoming this. It's really becoming it's the art of war, but in business. And apparently nobody's read this book.
Yeah.
Other than maybe the three of us. Go ahead, Vicky.
Also, Europe is very individualistic. Even though it's the EU, it's still very separate entities. And you've got China and the Middle East and part of Asia. It's a collectivist society. So when there's a decision at the top, everybody falls in line and they can move quicker. This is what we talked about, remember Shazad last time about the benevolent dictatorship that younger people want, because they can make a decision and go. And in Europe, they're still discussing it amongst all the countries who want to have their own opinion and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so they can't get out of their own way. Much like us now with all of our different states. Like I see that as the comparison between trying to get all the EU to agree, trying to get all of our states to agree, which is how he got in the White House in the first place, is we've got very different countries here that are conservative or liberal or whatever, and so we can't we can't get out of our own way now. And now we've got, we're driving the bus that's going to hit everybody else. But yeah, that to me, that's kind of why they're able to sort of move quicker on what needs to be done or what doesn't need to be done.
This is Speed 3 not starring Sandra Bullock anymore. That's what's happening. So, but you're talking about. See, the thing is, like, well, you're quite right. America is like countries within country, but America is like, what is it, 5,000 miles across or something? It's like, huge, right? And we're a little island. Britain, this is good old Blighty. Good old Blighty. We're about that big. Yes, we did rule 3/4 of the world at one point, but actually,
the sun never set on you. Yes.
Vicky, does that remind you of your boyfriend, your ex-Korean boyfriend? No, never mind. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, if he was British, he'd have a stiff upper lip, if nothing else. Anyway, but anyways,
lie back and think of England. Yes.
It's all for Her Majesty. Anyway, His Majesty. Anyway, so I haven't updated the algorithm yet.
I was going to say, I didn't hear that, but whatever.
Yeah.
So Britain, we also have the same problem. We have Brexiters, we have non-Brexiters. We're still struggling with that whole thing. Not like, okay, now we're America and our special relationship with America, which apparently, it's like only one-sided love affair,
Right.
And it's like, seriously. And it's like, look, guys, the first thing, like you say, the first thing we should have done is gone to Europe and say, guys, let's make a deal. Let's forget all the Brexit nonsense. Let's sort this out. Europe is already still the UK's #1 biggest trading partner by far. this idea that suddenly America would take over. And then there was this whole notion in Britain. It's like, oh yeah, Europe is going to be screwed, but we're okay because we have a special relationship. You know, we've got an in with Donny. You know, we've got an in. We've got Starmer went over there. Even though they are diametrically opposed in terms of their philosophies and their politics, he went over there to be Charmer Starmer, you know, and meet up with Donny. And oh, by the way, I've got an invitation from Charlie Boy. Charlie Boy is inviting you round to the palace for a cup of chai. And, you know, didn't work. None of it flew. And it's like, yeah, Britain, you're going to get hit with the same tariffs as the rest of the world. Okay, it's a little bit less, but there's still tariffs. Our industry, our car industry, what little was left of it, is going to collapse overnight. I don't think Rolls Royce
will collapse. That's your car
industry.
Not
Rolls Royce. We're talking like, you know, we're talking Aston Martin. We're talking Jaguar Land Rover.
Jaguar
Mini,
makes a crap.
You know,
Jaguar makes a crap car. So them collapsing isn't the worst thing in the world.
Jaguar's not making anything at the moment, but Land Rover, Range Rover is massive. You know, for them that's a massive part of their market.
Well, Land Rover I think would be okay. I think Rolls Royce will definitely be okay because, you know, in Asia, they're buying Rolls Royces like they're water. In the US, we buy them, but not as much. I'm trying to think.
No, but JLR, I mean, we've already had footage of all of these Range Rovers parked up at the docks because they didn't make the last boat out of here. So now they're stuck. They're stuck. So I think, again, no forethought. You know, no forethinking. Is like, you know, you should have shipped them before and stockpiled them in America before they did. Nah, they're stuck here now. What are you going to do? There's probably cheap Range Rovers down at the dealership right now. I should go down there and make a deal. Honestly, because they got nowhere else to go now. But it's just like, it's like you say, it's the lack of foresight. It's the lack of thinking ahead. It's the lack of like, okay, this is probably going to happen. What's our plan B? What's our plan C? Right. Our plan A, B, and C in the UK was like, oh, but we've got a special relationship in it. We're going to go over, have a cup of tea with him. It'll be fine. It'll be hunky-dory. It'll be good.
Yeah.
It's not. And that's what people don't seem to understand in that it's not, and it's not going to get good because once again, the politicians are still playing let's be ladies and gentlemen.
You know what they're playing?
You know what
they're playing at? They're playing
themselves.
Being adults. No, they're playing being adults, and they're clearly not.
And like I said, I give Xi a lot of credit because Xi, it's like, you know what, Donnie, you want to play this game? We'll play. And I'm like, you know, Donnie, China's not the one to screw with. Their economy is almost equal to ours. They have a better electric car group. They have a better, I mean, like you can go through the list. They're not the ones to start playing FU with. And I think that's a problem. In fact, the economist on Bloomberg pulled out the chart of tariffs for Canada regarding dairy, right? Because that was their big thing. They charge our dairy 300%, 400% tariffs. Then they pulled the report from the U.S. Agricultural Department, you know, the government, and said, how much of our dairy is actually hit with tariffs? 0. Why? Because what Canada said is, listen, you can send, and I'm making the numbers small because people are stupid, 10 buckets of milk over. And the 11th bucket, we hit you with a tariff. That's easy. We've never hit the 10th bucket. Right. So our dairy products going to Canada have never, ever, ever, according to the Bloomberg thing and the USDA report, ever had a tariff. So when they're talking about tariffs, they're going like, what are you talking about? Now, I hate to do this to everybody, but Princess asked if she can come on because she wants to talk about Donnie Trump because she loves him. And there's Princess.
I didn't ask. I didn't ask. I just came on. I saw on my phone there's some live stream going on, right? And then I thought, let me just drop some discombobulatory messages.
Discombobulatory.
Wow, look at you using a big
messages. Word. And the first question out of Stephen was, do you want to join?
Yeah, you want to join? It's just easier.
So because he's Jewish, that's not really a question. It's a command.
It's a command.
Right. Yeah. So you have to learn that language, that sort of like North London Jewish kind of. Everything is a question, but it's not really a question. It's sort of like just do it. You know.
It's a New Yorker thing. It's a New York Jew thing.
Here we go.
It's like boom. So yeah, you've heard what we're discussing. What are your thoughts on it? You're a man of many thoughts.
I think Jaguar have got a beautiful design for the new car. And
trigger.
I'm not saying this to agitate anyone. So design is only different, in my opinion, and I'm saying this in a very serious way, is if it's sort of like, if it agitates, if it sort of like provokes, a bit like art, right? I mean, like you get
Right.
samey art. You can go to a toilet and see art, right? That's no big deal, right? But it's the thing that provokes. In this case, I think it's provoked. And how can you lose? Because when you're trying to market, that's what you need. I noticed one thing. I don't know if Shazad
What
has
are you
seen
talking
this.
about? You're talking about Jaguar. You're talking about the economy.
I'm talking
Seriously.
about Jaguar. I'm talking
No,
about
we're not
Jaguar.
talking about Jaguar.
I'm talking about Jaguar, but subliminally I'm talking about Donald Trump because the whole point is to provoke. I never played
Okay,
a
now
game.
let's get on to topic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I never played a game of Risk where it was like buttery. The person who wins Risk is the person that goes on an assault or an attack or is sort of
Right.
underhanded and sideways and Machiavellian in his or her style. And so Donald Trump is. I think he enjoys the fact that everyone thinks he's an idiot.
Oh, but he is. But also the thing is, do you think that ultimately he's going to win? Is that what you're implying? Is like by doing all of this crazy
I don't think he
stuff?
cares. You see, here's the issue, right? And I've had this conversation with Stephen on a different program within the same universe of programs
You mean
on
the Habana Cigar Show? The Habana Saturdays?
on the
Yes.
Habano Cigar Show. These are billionaires. They do not think like you. You cannot think like them. They cannot, in the way that you cannot relate to them, they cannot relate to you. There's just words. It's just words, right? Yeah, without any consequences. If the price of butter and beer goes up, they don't give two fucking hoots. I'm sorry to use French, yeah, because they can
Yeah,
still
can't
buy
use suits.
they can still buy a Bugatti in a different color for every day of the week or every day
You
of the
know,
month. They
because
don't care.
ultimately, at the end of the day, they're still the ones that are going to. When we started this whole conversation today, we talked about the fact that people are losing money left, right, and center. But of course, like this is when normal people lose money, but rich people make money because
Right.
ultimately, this is when they go, oh, opportunity, great, stuff's come down, buy them loads more, it's going to go
Listen,
back up again.
you live by the sword, you die by the sword, because in 20 years' time, 30 years, look what happened to Gaddafi, right? Yeah, look what happened
Mhm.
to despots. Look what happened. If people are going to behave this way, maybe they don't see the consequence of it today. They'll see the consequence of it in 15, 20 years' time when they die a miserable death, right? It's one of those things. The world has its own way of karma. Like everyone votes in this country, and in this country I'm talking about the United Kingdom, yeah. Uh, this idiot got everyone who gets into power is a complete moron, as far as
Right.
I am concerned. They are not the ones pulling the strings. They themselves are puppets on a higher. Keir Starmer, what a fucking complete idiot. Well, complete fucking idiot, right? Okay, but Rishi Sunak, what a complete fucking idiot, right? Okay, it doesn't
But
end.
the thing,
It
what
never
I
ends.
will
The
say about Rishi
endlessness of
Sunak, though,
idiots.
what I will say about Rishi Sunak, though, is that at least you felt that the economy, that
Oh, here we go.
with that guy, you felt that he understood numbers. He understood numbers. He understood
What?
economy. He understood that aspect of things.
An accountant understands
Basically, he was an
numbers,
accountant.
but the best accountant is the one when you ask him what is 2 + 2, and the answer is whatever you want it to be, sir.
Yeah.
That is what an accountant is.
But I think Rishi was that. I think Rishi could have because don't forget he came straight after
Rishi
a
got bullied
financial.
at school. He's the type of person
He
I
got
would
bullied
have
for
bullied
sure. He
at
got bullied
school.
for sure. He
Right.
got bullied.
I
Yeah,
would
for
have
sure.
bullied him left, right, and fucking center. It's all these fucking. Sorry, I get carried away. It's not my show. There's always these nerds who end up in power, right? People who've actually got some values and principles sit behind and commentate. And that
Right.
is the way the world works. People who actually have reason and sense are very few people. And good luck them getting into power. It's
But
just the way the world works.
here's my question. It's like, because we were just discussing earlier about the fact that there was a complete and utter lack of foresight, especially on the part of Europe, and especially on the part of Chalmers Starmer. He thought, oh, we've got a special relationship, we'll be okay. They don't have a plan B, they don't have a plan C. But I do feel that if Rishi was there, he probably would have seen, because he was able to anticipate these things, and he was probably going, okay, we'll have a plan B, we'll have a plan C,
Rishi
we'll figure
Sunak.
something out. But
Rishi
we're right now.
Sunak, he's a jumped up little schoolboy. He looks
He
better in
is.
shorts.
He
He
is.
looks better in shorts. He's that kind of
We'll
person.
have to defer to Vicky on. We'll have to defer to Vicky on that one. Would you look better in shorts?
No. The amusing thing about the world, and it's not an amusing thing, but I guess you have no choice but to slightly smile at it. Is so many incompetents exist in political circles now.
Yeah.
I mean, you used to have incompetence always in every sphere of life. You have incompetence, yeah. But now the trend is the more incompetent you are, the higher you rise, because the people who are actually in charge prefer the malleable mind rather than the mind that's got morals and principles.
So you've just explained the rise of the Trump, but at the same time, there is a floating around on the
But
internet
hang on,
an
but hang on,
interview an
no, no,
interview
but
with
hang on,
Trump,
hang
an
on.
interview with Trump
No, but the
from
one
like
thing
years ago, from several decades ago, when he explained what he was going to do. How he said, I'm going to appeal to Fox viewers. This is what I'm going to do. He actually explained. So in a sense, you could be right. Like he knows what he's doing in the sense that he knows what he's doing for himself because he had a plan. And this was from decades ago.
There was a book that came out. I can't remember the name of the author. Stephen might remember. Vicky, I've never met you. I don't know what your position
By all
is on
accounts,
this.
Stephen hasn't met her either. So
No, but
that's
there was a
right.
book. There was a book that came out. I think it was a red book. It came out sort of like 2 or 3 years into Trump's first presidency, and it was a scathing attack on Trump, right? Okay, it was an analysis. Stephen, do you remember who wrote that? It was a very
I
famous
don't, but
book.
I'll find it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep
The
going.
point was one of the chapters of that book referenced basically what I think Trump is about. Sort of like sometimes you have to kind of like sift through a lot of data to find the essence of a person. And Stephen knows this really well. I'm a big film noir buff. I'm a movie buff. Trump has modeled himself on Citizen Kane.
Kane, yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Okay. This has been mentioned a few times. The more you watch Citizen Kane, Orson Welles, great movie, lovely, lovely movie. Actually, you see total echoes of sort of the rise of Trump and media manipulation, etc., etc., etc. The one thing I do like about Trump, as opposed to, so we're talking about idiots and imbeciles, right? Yeah, he may prove to be a complete imbecile, right? But the one thing I like is that he has not gone with the flow of conventional politics, right? So someone just today, I was watching the LBC. What's his the guy who's a lot on LBC. I can never remember his name. Again, sort of Alzheimer's kicks in. Um, was talking about specifically what was it? The Trump thing. It's kind of gone out. This is Alzheimer's.
It's kicking in as we're watching.
There's too much fucking information flying around. I'll come to that thought. I'll come to that thought in a moment. But Trump has gone out of his way to say silly things. Okay, now I remember. It's Trump thinks that when he says something, that becomes real, which is a very sort of like a childish
James O'Brien.
mentality.
You're talking about James
O'Brien. Yeah. So Trump has this psychological. It's quite obvious now. Before it was the jury was out, but when he says something, he thinks it's real, and he exists in a a fictional reality, alternate reality, however you want to.
Right.
Like we speak a certain language. We have a language as a unit of exchange of ideas, correct? Yeah, and his exchange of ideas is based on a different currency. If he says it didn't happen, he genuinely thinks it didn't happen. Right?
No,
This is
I
a man
understand that. I think that, but to be honest, that's the truth.
But it
with
has a
most
value. It has a
psychotic
value.
despots are the same. They
but it
believe
has
in
a
their own
value.
reality.
Who's to know what is genius and who's to know what's despotic and who's to know what's despotic genius, if you know what I mean. There are some people who clearly change the narrative. There are people who change the direction, change the course of history. You might say for the worse, they may say for the better, and it may transpire that it is for the worse, and it may transpire that it is for the better. But it is not bread and butter. It's not plain sailing. And I guess when it comes to politics, when it comes to running governments, the lesser people like us, you and I, who live underneath governments, we just want stability. At the end of the day, we all want stability,
Yeah.
right? Prices never come down. Prices always go up, but we want them to go up a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. I was watching a program on McDonald's burgers since 1950 to current times. It's like the price of a hamburger has only started exponentially going up until about 10 years ago it was 50p, and now it's £1.19. Okay, and before that it was 30p, and before that it was like for 30 years it was 25 cents. Sorry, in the US it was 25 cents. And then it went up to 30, and then it went up to 50, and then it's now up to $1. And you know what I mean? So we want everything to just go so slowly that we don't really notice it. if
Right.
you know what I mean. And then
Yeah,
that's
but that's the whole point, isn't it? Because what's happening now is that everything's in flux, everything's all over the place. So those incremental changes are not happening. It's gigantic swings are happening right now. And to be honest, like for like you say, these people are living a cocoon,
It'll
a bubble
settle
of their
down.
own. For them,
It'll settle down.
it'll be fine. But for the rest of us, this is like, what the hell is going on? Because there's brought a huge amount of instability to everybody's lives, and everybody who
And
thinks that they're not
opportunity.
impacted, they are impacted. Everybody.
And opportunity.
Well, there's always
opportunity for the regular person, really?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I've
Yeah.
noticed living in northwest London, right, that people are now parking on pavements and on double yellow lines. So there's their opportunity. There's no law and order. There is no
Okay.
I kid you not. This is a very serious point. Yeah, it's become like the Wild West. No one's paying things on
Look,
time.
Reza, that's mine. Reza, that's
absolute
that's
Gotham
minor.
City.
I have twice been in Boots. Boots is a big pharmacy here. It's not a shoe shop. It's a pharmacy. I know it's called Boots. I'm sorry, it's called Boots. It's a British thing. It's called
Okay.
Boots. It's a pharmacy. Twice I've been in there. Twice I've been in there, standing in the queue on the counter while the place has been ransacked. While it's being ransacked, and nobody does anything because. Yeah, and nobody's doing anything because they're like, well, what are we going to do? The only thing is they got CCTV and stuff. We just give it to the police at the end of the day. That's all we do. I'm like,
Wild
wow,
West.
this is what it's
We're
come
going
down
back to Wild West
Crazy.
mentality.
Yeah.
But on more serious note, then there will. Look what happened in crisis. During the COVID thing, you have these big companies who are getting contracts from the government to supply, overalls and masks, just ripping the economy apart, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
But they would have said, look, there's a crisis and there's an opportunity. And if you're entrepreneurial,
But again, it goes back to I mean, maybe Stephen can answer this one again. Is that you say, all right, I understand. There is no question that for the right people in the right position, there is always opportunity, but no opportunity for the regular people who are just sitting there petrified that their savings and their pensions and all the rest of it is just evaporating before their very eyes right now.
I think a lot of that opportunity, whether it's any of us here or whatever, it's your risk profile. Some people may have $20 in the bank and they're like, I'm going to go risk it because I think I can make money. And you'll have other people that can have 200 million in the bank and they're going to be like, no, I'm good. Let it sit there. So it just becomes how risk averse you are and how much of a chance you're willing to take. To Riz's point, there are lots of people with lots of commas in their in their financial statements that pulled a lot of money out of the markets before Trump became president, even in crypto. And now they're all looking at it as, ooh, do we go back in? Interest rates may go up. So is it a good time to buy? Like it's all cyclical, right? So at some point when the market swings again, you can go in. So having cash and sitting on the sidelines is also not the worst thing in the world. But then for the average person that doesn't watch Bloomberg and doesn't talk to 40 economists a day or people around the world, they really don't have a clue of where to go. They're going to count on their financial broker. And
Well,
they don't have a clue of where to go either.
let me ask Vicky at this point, because I think Vicky, you and I probably are the ordinary people here, like these millionaires, right? How are you feeling right now? And how,
my fellow. How I feel about the economy or
about things in general. I mean, are you feeling like, oh my God, what's happening? Or you're like, okay, we'll ride through this, or
Oh yeah, no, it's oh my God. I wake up every day. What is the heart, Stephen? Are you
I'm sending love to the common. I'm extending love to the common people that we're going to crush. That's what we do before we kill you. Let me wave. You're at the lizard person.
Yeah, no, I mean, every day I wake up and there's some new crazy shit that's happened. Like overnight, all of a sudden there's penguins that are revolting against a tariff that I had nothing. Like I can't make this stuff up. It's like
so true.
I thought I lived through the one big crazy event of my life. Like I thought, okay, I lived through a pandemic. Like that's some serious shit. I'm done now. I'm good. Like that was a big thing to get over. Now I've got hump number 2 in the form of this Cheeto coming along, and it's like it's just as bad. I never know when what's going to happen today. Oh, all of a sudden my Amazon package is going to kill me because there's germs on it. Like what the fuck? And then now I have this guy who just like Raza said, he doesn't exist in my world, but he's running my world, which is the worst part about it. Like if you could just stay in your own freaking bubble and leave me alone, that'd be great. But no, you got to come and mess with my shit and then go golfing. It's like what I don't know what movie I'm in, but I really want to get out of it. Like, this is
You're in
not
the
what
Wild
I
West.
signed up for.
You're in a fistful of dollars. That's what you are right now.
Yeah.
And
The good, the bad, and the
Custody.
ugly.
and
It's
just
not
like
Citizen Kane.
and
Yeah,
just like the
Fistful of
poor
Dollars.
and just like those poor Mexicans who are at the beginning of Fistful of Dollars, right? Yeah.
Right.
They were living in their own world. They were very happy, and then suddenly the banditos come along, and then a savior comes along in the form of Donald Trump. Clint Eastwood, and the man with no name. Here's the thing. I
He
think
must not be named. Is
he
now.
must not be named. I think if you're a little bit of a history buff, yeah, you may have this perspective, that we've got a little bit complacent in the last 40, 50 years to being comfortable, right? Because about 100 years ago, there were at least two wars that the whole world was involved in.
Right.
There was the Spanish flu before that, at the turn of the century. Then there were the North European wars throughout the 1870s, 1880s.
Yeah, but
I
Reza,
mean, there's always been.
don't you think we've had a couple of shocks of our own with the 2008 recession and then the COVID pandemic?
No,
We've had a couple of shocks, and also there have been things like the Gulf War and stuff in the meantime.
The point I'm making is those things have been
Regional.
in terms for everyday life for people living, I guess, generally around the world. Generally, there are exceptions. Since sort of the end of Second World War, have been relatively cushy as compared to now. Correct? You would say that, yes? Like I remember.
I mean, apart from COVID, because I think the COVID was the one episode that
Yeah, but
did
that's very
impact
recent,
the
though.
entire
COVID's
world.
only like
and
5
changed-
years ago. It's only
yeah.
5 years ago,
Yeah.
and to some extent it was contrived. To some extent, some people took liberties over it. To some extent, it was true. I mean, there's a whole mixture of there. There's a whole mixture of ingredients that come with the COVID package. Some aspects of it were really shitty. Some aspects of it could have been horrific. Some aspects of it were there for people to make money. Some aspects of it was about power and control, because
No, but going back to the global shock, the historical shocks, I think we have had, like Vicky was saying, is like that she thought that was it. That was the one big event that she was going to have in her lifetime. Was going to be having to wipe down an Amazon box every time it arrived. That was what was going to happen, and then we could all get back to normality. But we haven't really got back to normality. To be honest, I don't think we've got back to normality since 2008.
That pales into insignificance compared to, for example, Bay of Pigs. Bay of Pigs was when the world was almost like 10 minutes away from being over. The whole world was almost like, and most people never really realized it, yeah? But that was going to trigger a full-scale
Nuclear attack.
thermonuclear war. As remember from war games, thermonuclear war, right? That was going for full thermonuclear war, right? And most of us were sitting there happy, unaware of what was going on. We don't know how many alien spaceships are flying above us because we're just not told. It could all be over in the next 5 minutes.
Oh, I do. I've been in touch.
Yeah.
I know someone else who you should be in touch with, and he wears a white suit with a sort of stethoscope. No, but the thing is this: the average pundit is only given the information by the people or entities or beings in charge. That's all you have to go on. That's all you have to sift through. If someone says we're having a global pandemic, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it if you can't fly anywhere and you have to be vaccinated? You have to be vaccinated. Why?
Right.
Because we tell you so, right? Okay. So how are you meant to decide what's right and what's wrong? How are you meant to decide that?
The other trouble is that what we've had in terms of, when you go about information, misinformation, there was an integrity of journalism that existed, 20, 30, 40 years ago, which I think has so fast become eroded in the modern times that unfortunately now we're in a situation where, the good old BBC, we can't even trust that anymore. We don't know who is giving us the correct information. To be honest, I don't even know if they know if they're getting the correct information. And I think that also, despite the fact that we live in an age where, we're living in the middle of the information superhighway and we're getting all of this stuff at us all of the time, and yet we seem to be less informed than we've ever been before. It's crazy.
Well, that's because the information we get is all bullshit. I mean, you have a reporter saying to Zelensky, "This is how you dress to the White House." I mean, come on, that's not news. That's BS.
Yeah.
Now, AP asks the blonde chick, I don't know her name, nor do I care, that
Yeah.
speaks for the president, real questions. And she just goes, how dare you insult the president of the United States? And then you get follow-ups from ABC, CBS, NBC, Bloomberg, all these asking, it's like, no, tell us about the tariffs. And she
We're
can't
we're
explain it because she's an idiot. So
we're in a
the
very
problem,
unfamiliar place. This is just
yeah,
a very
we're in a place where the inmates are running the asylum now.
Hmm.
And that's a place that we've never been at. Before you used
and
to
the
have
inmates are
leaders that
also
ran.
saying, that the previous operators of the asylum were
Right,
corrupt
right.
and would torture us and would
Yeah.
and um, Animal Farm, George Orwell.
Yep.
That book. The lesson of that book is it doesn't matter what your intentions. The moment you get into power, you become
here's the thing. I mean,
exactly that.
power corrupts. But the thing is, we've had crazies, if you want, for want of a better word. We've had
Right.
crazies in power before. We've come close to, like you say, nuclear Armageddon, what have you,
No, thermonuclear war.
thermonuclear war.
Do you want to play a game?
You want to play a game?
You know what? And to be honest, like we might be close to it again. Who knows? But
Yeah.
the point is that the situations have been contained because there has been a mass of intelligence around
Right.
those people that has gone, hey, wait, okay, then stop barking, calm down, sit
Right.
down. Let's sort this thing. But right now, you don't get that feeling. You don't get that feeling that there's anybody in the immediate vicinity of these people who are running our world for us has any clue as to what they're doing, as we discussed earlier on, even about the economic situation. And that is more scary than ever, and I think in our history. I don't think that we've ever had a situation where we're like, we are completely being run by the crazies or the incompetents right now.
Well,
And that's across the world.
Well, that's true. But go back to like the 80s when I think it was Reagan that called
The
Gorbachev.
1980s.
No, well,
1980s.
yeah, just for fun, because I don't want to go back to the year 80, because then you guys won't remember. But I remember when the Russians, their lights lit up, that they were being attacked by America, nuclear war, and the Russian general said, I find this hard to believe. He actually picked up, get this, a phone
Yeah.
and called America and just said to them point blank,
Yeah.
are you attacking us? And the guy that his counterpart was like, no, you woke
Wrong
me
number.
up. Yeah, like, you woke me up. What the hell?
Your
And he
call
said,
is important to us. Please hold the line.
Yeah, please push number one for English. And for Russian.
I believe in that particular story.
Yeah.
Are we talking about Bay of Pigs here?
No, that's 62. I'm
Yeah.
talking about something in the 80s.
In the 80s.
It was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Russia
I
had a
remember
malfunction.
hearing about this as well.
And what
Because
happened was
a phone call. Yeah.
the general.
No, because in 62 they called Henry Kissinger's house, and Henry Kissinger's wife answered the phone.
I didn't know
And
that.
basically, for that moment, Henry Kissinger's wife was the
Right.
most powerful person on the planet.
Good for
Because
her.
she could decide who to have the phone or not have the phone, or
It's
whether
fun.
he's in the toilet or whatever he is.
He's in the loo.
He's
So
in the
yeah,
loo.
but then
He'll call back.
this administration, I think, if the lights lit up on somebody's board, I don't know if a general from the other side at this point would call his
Yeah.
counterpart here and go, "Hey, dude, is there something going on?" But because of that, then the president of the United States had a call. I want to say it was Gorbachev. I don't. Brezhnev was dead by then, or whoever he called over there and said, "We're not attacking you." And so the general that is in charge of the nuclear arsenal for Russia literally saved the world back in the 80s because he actually used his brain.
Yeah.
I think today, if that happened, nobody in America would pick up a phone because God forbid, and you would go to that brink. And that's the problem. There's no adults in the room.
Safely. I think you can sleep safely.
You can sleep
in a bunker. I'm
you can
Pluto.
sleep safely.
So-
Whether you wake up or not is a different matter.
That's right. You can go to bed
It's not in your
safely.
hands anyway. That's not in your hands anyway. But I think you sleep it because I'm going to say something that's mildly controversial on your
There we
show,
go.
right? I'm not really a controversial person, yeah.
No.
The thing is this, yeah, is I feel USA is not in charge of the world. I mean, in an aggregate sense, the US
Right.
is not in charge of the world. Russia and China are in charge of the world, and they know everything about Donald Trump. They know everything about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not a powerful person. He's a wannabe powerful person.
He's a Russian asset. That's what everybody
Russian
believes.
asset, exactly.
Let's move into the realm where actually we don't have a president of America. We have a president of the world, and his name is Putin.
No, I think
Is
it's
that what we're
at
talking about?
a practical level,
Really?
that might be true anyway.
I think Trump's an asset. In fact, if you Lost Dollar Business Club, we had a guy on from Government Next, which is a publication that deals with everybody in the government, and we were talking about Trump being an asset with all his people and whatever. And he said the talk around the Beltway in DC is yes, everything he does would make you look like he's basically beholden to Putin.
And don't,
It
and
was
don't forget the
fascinating.
word asset starts with us.
Yes.
That's thank you very little. So there you go. But my point is that so if you look at his cabinet and the people he's picking and the stuff they do from Signalgate to they're the dumbest people, they just fired the head of cybersecurity who's like a 34-year-old veteran, 5-star general, and like the smartest guy on the planet when it comes to cyber defense. And they got rid of him because some chick who's a conspiracy theorist bitch from Instagram comes on and goes, they're not good for you, Donnie. And Donnie's like, okay. So if he's not a Russian asset and his cabinet is, and I don't know what is, and people on the Beltway feel that, he said it to us also on the show. It's Lost Dollar Business Club. If you guys go watch it. He was saying that the community there, Republicans as well now, are like, this isn't the way we thought it was going to go. So, but if you listen to Donnie, none of this is a shock. He told you he was going to do all this. I think Putin's controlling him. I think, however, I think China's the one who's going to benefit because
Regardless of
China
who's
has more economic
controlling him.
power than Russia. Russia has no power unless Donnie lets the Russians come over here and start doing.
So regardless of who is controlling him, the very fact that you mention things like that, where these veterans and experts and these people in their field who should be the people in charge are just being sidelined because people off Fox TV are coming in and taking over. I mean, it's a very, very scary proposition. And what does this bode? How does this bode for the future? What is the reaction in America itself? Is there any level of people? Is there any level of bias regret now with voters? Is there any level of like, yeah, maybe, or is it like, no, go, Donnie? Is it still like that?
I think right now
Are you suggesting people were stupid enough to vote for him, and those stupid people will suddenly come to their senses? Is that what you're suggesting?
Some have actually.
Well, when they get hit in the pocket, that often happens, doesn't it?
And you know where the first place was? Utah. And we talked about this. I don't know on what show, but the Republican senator went to Utah to talk about how great Donald Trump was. And apparently in Utah, in Salt Lake City, that area, like 80% of the people are employed by the federal government, where it's Veterans Affairs, this, there's that. Everyone in that audience was fired by Donald Trump. And so when he was talking about great, they're all like, and they were calling this guy out. Granted, about a week later, they all were reinstated because they realized you need people to run the government. So it was hysterical because this guy's trying to talk about Donald Trump, and these are all Republicans. Like the guy's showing his Republican voting card, and he's like cursing this guy out. And it was sort of like, whoa. So I think for the Republicans, the midterms are going to tell a lot. I think the Democrats, as we've discussed before, need to come up with a better message. I think there is buyer's remorse.
They need to come up with a better figurehead as well, because you're going to need a personality to go against this.
You need Fetterman. You need either Fetterman or Josh Cohen. The two guys from Pennsylvania are the only figureheads or personalities that could take on a Trump, because Fetterman will tell him to go F off, and Josh is very eloquent and can speak. Gavin Newsom, forget it. He's not going to be able to do shit because nobody trusts him or likes him because he flip-flops like Kamala Harris, like most Californians. They like to flip-flop. But I think... Okay, well, you like him because you want anyway. Just in case the Korean guy.
You've forgotten.
Not everybody thinks the way you do, Stephen.
You've forgotten Trudeau so quickly. Trudeau's.
What happened to Trudeau? You thought he was like hot? You can't be president though. That's why she can't have an affair with him.
He's got time on his hands now. So
he's available now, anyway.
He's available. She calls him. They're getting together. Yeah, they're gonna have lunch. But no, I think there's a buyer's remorse. I think the midterms will be able to tell, and unless something catastrophic happens, like we have a civil war in our country or there's a world war, Trump there's no 28 for him unless he decides he's not going to leave, because they're all talking about a third term. But I think the buyer's remorse, he'd have to turn the economy around tomorrow, so to speak. And people go, oh, and I'm using the egg thing because that was his big thing. Eggs are back to normal, gas is whatever. The Saudis yesterday did announce that they're going to lower the price of gas. So that helps Donnie out a little bit if we get that passed along. But it's just all the other stuff. To your point earlier, and to Riz's point, people are parking on lines. Yeah, the law seems to be kind of like, doesn't matter. You've got this guy in the White House doesn't follow the law. He went in there and he's being
It
vindictive
comes from the
against all
top,
these
doesn't
law.
it? I mean, you
Yeah.
see the morals and ethics have to come from the top, and when you see that
And
there isn't any at the top, then you
Yeah.
just go, well, whatever. The law of the jungle applies. Full stop.
Yeah,
you know?
and
Yeah, but
that's
it will
how
find its
it
order.
feels.
It will find its own order again. It's a question of how much damage is done until then.
And then the other problem is though, and I think we spoke about this yesterday with Vicky and Adam, is when the damage is done, if something happens, whether it's an alien invasion, by my lizard people and the Illuminati, or it's a real war, like Russia rolling through the Ukraine to go to Poland, which is Poland's now warning everybody that's going to happen because the U.S. is no longer. So if all that happens, will the allies that we literally just screwed over
No.
help us?
No.
And I agree with you. I don't think they will. I think Canada, everybody's going to be like, no, we're good.
Yeah, there you go. There's the future right there.
There's
the future. There's the future. Buy the book. Read the future. There's the answers. All the answers are in there.
We've already read all his books.
Well.
Yes.
If you want to open that,
if you're not gonna promote my book, get off the channel.
If you want to open that Pandora's box, there's some very controversial, questionable ideas.
This is not objective.
I feel I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say now. I'm not going to give someone.
Move on.
I'm not going to give someone some free ideas from here. Yeah, they'll just have to. I guess they'll have to.
No, the ideas in there are not free. They're brilliant.
They'll have to borrow a copy from their local library.
I've spoken to the Vulcans on these matters. And they've the Vulcans and the lizard people can't come soon enough as far as I'm concerned.
Do you want to see the autograph in here?
I have an autographed copy too. I got mine last year.
I want to see this one.
I don't.
Sure. Let's see this one. To Raza, do you know how to read? I don't know if that's a good autograph copy when they're asking if you know how to read.
He's in the toilet, please.
Yeah. I think it's very nice.
Shazad Sahib.
No, it says he's in the toilet, please. But now this, I have to say.
Here we go. Did you read it?
Get ready with the mute button. Get ready with the mute button.
I got it.
2-second delay.
I'm only lifting it up because the hand is here on the floor, right?
There's
it's
three of them right there. Look.
It's here on the floor next.
They're right there. They're right there. All three of them. My library.
I mean, there are these other two door
There you
holders,
go.
There you go.
There you go.
I use them to wedge the door open. I'll tell you a little secret. I'll tell you a little secret. This is the kind of person I am. Yeah, I know this is slightly off-piste and off-topic. Yeah.
Don't take the piece. Just don't take the piece.
I have a relative. Let's put it this way. I have a relative who's very vain, very vainglorious. He wrote a book. He thinks he's very accomplished. It's a he. Yeah. And he sent me 3 copies of the book to give to his best friends here in London. I won't say where he is. One to read. Those 4 books are actually propping up this shelf underneath just to make it level because the carpet is a bit. I'm not joking. It's not a joke. You know if I say it's true.
Oh, I know.
They're just underneath there. When this shelf is moved in 15 years' time, you will find 4 books just sitting there, just angling it to the right place. So this might help counterbalance the other side.
Oh my God.
That's
a great idea.
I have helpfully made them
one side. That's it's missing
I have helpfully made them different levels of thickness. They're different levels of thickness, so they could be quite useful.
Here you go. Let's get close up.
It's cigars and cars. I don't know how we managed to plug cigars and cars on this show, but I was just talking about the other show that you very kindly run. The Habanos.
I mean, your show, Habanos Saturday, your show, where you and Usman you're the star, and Usman and
very questionable, very questionable ideas in this. I think they need to be suppressed.
Where's the mute button when we need it? Everybody needs to read it to find out what the future
Well, you don't need to. I could tell you about it here so that you don't have to read it. But I think that might be a little unethical.
Who cares about ethics in this day and age? We'd already discussed that.
Story 7 in here is very questionable. I would, if I were you, I would have it removed. I'd have those pages ripped out. Story
I know, I
7.
have to go look at my book.
I have to go look it up now.
Story 7 is my God, I'm having difficulty looking at the pages. It's that obscene.
Oh my God.
That's
a good.
they're texted.
I know there's 13. There's 13 stories in that book. I liked them all. I thought they were all good. I read it. What's story 7? Sure.
Oh, can you see? Hang on. Oh, that's
I got to
8.
do a close up
Wait,
there. Here we go.
I gotta get this way. There you
Number
go.
7. Can anybody read number 7?
Oh man, I can't figure this out. Which way am I going?
There we
It's
go.
like one of those
The
cameras.
Secret
Secret
Lives
Lives
of
of
Muslims.
Muslims.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, that's going to be.
That's specifically non-halal. That one. That's
not
non-halal.
halal. Non-halal. Okay.
Well, it's questionable because I'm
You're
Muslim,
Muslim.
and
Yeah.
I have
Congratulations.
sort of a secret life, and that especially is a very controversial. That's a very controversial book. I mean, what is it? You're plugging books right now. The only reason I picked this up was to say how efficient a doorstopper this book is. That was it.
Yeah,
So,
just plugging his
They
number.
Every
are
time
different.
Stephen goes to the
They
top,
are
it's-
different thickness.
right, so you
but-
have a problem with Donald Trump and money, yeah, but you want to sell books on this channel. I mean,
Damn
my
right,
goodness,
damn right.
yeah,
Why
that's
he
Why
needs
my
it now. His pension's in the
capitalism
toilet.
lives in the heart.
Have you seen my pension?
of the
What?
downtrodden man? The downtrodden man. Here, where was he? That side. No, that side.
That's it.
The downtrodden man
Are you
who
going to
was
move
sort
it?
of like, oh, we need a safer
Yeah.
environment. This and I just was talking about the fact that you've got opportunities, right? And he's a capitalist. He's trying to sell books on
Yeah.
this channel.
Damn right.
And
Buy my books. Can we have like a logo just here?
I believe I
believe
believe they're too controversial to read. I believe the
Oh
ideas
my
that you've
God.
expressed. I believe the
There you go.
ideas that you've expressed are.
Especially the secret lives of Muslims. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously.
that
If
one.
anybody
That
had
was
their
crazy.
concerns, they need to
Yeah.
read that story. That specific story.
During
right
Ramadan next year, you should
there.
read it.
They need to read that, definitely, yeah.
You can read a page a day.
I know, and once again, I only picked them up because they're right next to me. Otherwise, there was no need to.
Did he give you the
Don't
crayons
read
so you
this
can
book.
color in the
Don't
pictures?
read this book. Controversial.
Okay. Hold on.
Because
We have
it's-
a close up here. A secret. Oh, look at that. Oh,
What's
wow.
going on there?
Little
What is
Vicky.
going on?
That looks like Vicky with the president of South Korea.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
So,
Podcast people don't believe it. It does
I
not.
believe if you want to understand Donald Trump in
Yeah.
relevance to this is the book to read.
The Prince by Machiavelli. Yes, we talked about that last Saturday.
Yeah,
the book to read.
he's not on the show, so stop pushing his books.
Yeah, he's dead. Machiavelli's dead. Just so you know, he doesn't pay royalties like brown car guy.
That's right.
Yeah, Machiavelli's dead. But I agree with you. We discussed that last week. That is probably more. There's a book called "It Can't Happen Here," which Guy Standing was written in the 30s, and Guy was talking about it. And if you read the book, that's exactly the Trump game plan as well. So there's a lot of stuff out there.
So
And to go back to-
it's really if you combine all these different strategies together, whether
Yeah.
it's Machiavelli, whether it's Sun Tzu, The Art of War, whether it's
Right.
Robert Greene, or whoever it is, yeah, all roads lead to Rome. It's all about deception, not
Right.
saying what you're going to do, not attacking the enemy or the idea or the politics from the front, coming around the side.
Right.
If you were to attack an enemy on a battlefield, you would
Right.
not attack them in the middle. You would find a way of gaining an advantage, whether it's a hilltop or coming from the
Right.
side or sending out scouts. And people like Donald Trump, whilst us normals, I hope and presume, we want stability. It cannot be that way for people such as Donald Trump. And I really don't think that he's a stupid fellow. I think he's a controversial
see.
fellow.
Well, here's an interesting thing.
At this point,
I-
though, he's a senile little git. Like
Yeah,
his
he's
stuff
not
is-
looking like he's the sharpest tool in
his
the shed.
mental-
Well,
Yeah,
it doesn't look
it's-
like. But the thing is, like, again, when you say we will find out, I mean, we will literally, like, between this podcast and next podcast, the world could easily have changed if it's still around.
Oh, yeah, the
30
penguins
days
are
That's the way.
dead.
That's the way
I'm
things are
telling you,
going.
the penguins are
That's
not
the problem with
happy.
stability.
So the penguins are not happy.
Things-
That's for a start. Yeah.
No.
Things used to change. Things used to
Have you
change.
seen Madagascar?
In
Have you
manageable
seen
steps.
Madagascar?
Now things
Smile
change.
and wave, boys. Smile and wave. That's
Yep.
the penguins.
Huh?
That's it.
From where's that from?
Madagascar.
Madagascar, the
Penguins
movie.
in Madagascar.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
That's it. Yeah.
So Donald Trump is comparable to was it Sacha Baron Cohen's character?
Well, basically,
Oh,
yeah.
the dictator. Yeah.
The dictator,
What is
yeah.
his name? King.
Yeah.
King.
Here's an interesting hypothesis for you guys. You know, they're
They're,
trying to get
they're unreadable books.
They're
Unreadable
unreadable books.
Due,
I'm just
due,
trying. I'm trying
due,
some. I'm trying some subliminal promotion.
due,
Guys,
here.
you see that?
due to the
They're trying to,
controversy. Your
they're trying to change. Yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
subliminal messages come in obvious chunks.
Yeah. Here's a thought for you guys to think about for the next
Are you
time.
drinking out of a
You know,
jar?
Trump is trying to
IKEA.
whatchamacallit, IKEA. Trump is trying to get a third term, and he says he's not joking. But if they change the 22nd Amendment where Trump can run for a third term, wouldn't that mean Obama can run for a third term
Yes.
as well?
Yeah,
They've
bring
already
him back.
floated that. Yep.
Bring them all back. Bring Trudeau back. Vicky's waiting for
No.
that one.
Yeah, well, that's
Come on,
her wet dream.
You can only run for a third term if your wife is also female.
So what's Michelle Obama's female?
No, I know, but that is what the clause that Trump is going to put in, and then people
Oh.
so the very clever thing he does is instead of focusing on the topic, you create a new topic that people then focus on. They're
Right.
totally distracted away from the reality of the first topic, right? Okay, so that's what it is. That's how you keep power. That's how you gain power. Is you change the rules so fast, so constantly that no one else can keep up with them. Whilst they're fixing the rules, you're running government.
While you're cleaning up one mess, he's created another one. He is
That's right,
perfect.
exactly.
He is the grown-up toddler. He really is.
No, he's
He's the
doing
grown-up
Steve
brother.
Bannon. Steve
Was it
Bannon said.
King in Madagascar, King Louis? Is it King Louis?
Yeah.
No, I know who
He
you're
likes
talking
to
about.
move
Yeah.
it, move it.
That's
He
Jungle
likes to-
Book.
I
Is
like
it?
to
That was
move.
Jungle Book.
No, Jungle Book was
I'm
different.
the king of the jungle.
That's Jungle
Yeah.
Book. That's Jungle Book with the blue eye, bum, bum. Yeah, I listened to that the other day. Anyway, no, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens economically in 30 days. Who knows? We get the $9 trillion back in the markets. The markets are up a little bit this morning, which is interesting. Well, the S&P, or just so everybody knows, since this is live, we broadcast it tomorrow. The S&P futures are down 23 basis points. NASDAQ's up 10 basis points, or 10%. I'm sorry. The US 10-year is up 21%, down 21%. The FTSE, you guys were up 2.75% today. So things seem to stabilize now. To everyone's point, now the people with money are all going into the marketplace saying, okay, now it's the time to buy.
Yeah.
So, it's either the
But
$9 trillion loss is now going to be somebody
There are
else's
people
game.
that are going to make money. There's no question about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the legacy car industry is about to implode. So
Well, I don't know
definitely,
about, you said
that's
Austin Martin, but I don't know if
They'll-
Austin Martin just needs to make a good product. Their product is crap.
it
They're
is
going to
crap,
implode
yeah.
just
Let's
because
be honest.
they
Let's
have
be
a
honest.
crap product.
I was once stuck at a petrol station in Dubai, and I couldn't even open the filler cap on the thing. And eventually, I called up the press office. I thought I was just being an idiot, and I couldn't find the button. I called up the press office, and the guy said, "Have you got a credit card?" I said, "Yeah, I have got a credit card. That's how I'm going to pay for the fuel." He said, "No,
Yeah.
you have to wedge your credit card into the gap." I'm like, "What?"
Oh my God.
I'm standing
No,
in
we
a
haven't heard that
1.3
story
million
8
dirham
times
Aston
before.
Martin at the petrol station, and I have to wedge the tank open with a credit card. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, the
Yeah.
car industry is going to pot. There'll be nothing left for me to do. So please go, everybody, buy my books.
By the way,
Buy my books.
I reviewed the one book in the middle. I actually wrote a review, and it's up on Amazon, I think, isn't it?
That one. Yeah, very kind of you. Thank you. And
Thank
Vicky. And Vicky did
Vicky
as
wrote a
well.
review too?
Thank you. Yes,
Vicky,
you did.
got your crayons
you,
out?
Vicky.
I'm so proud
Yes.
of you.
I did.
Thank you.
All right.
I would read that book just to know what you shouldn't do.
Did. I told you, keep the mute
Oh,
button
yeah,
ready.
he does tell you that at the
Yeah.
end. He does say that everything I've just told you.
You want to be a
Yes.
content creator like me? Oh yes, let me read this. I know exactly the pitfalls.
At the end of the most of
Spoiler.
the, I think like at the end of the writing, I did an entire segment on how to write a road test, a car review, and at the end of that, I said ignore all
Mate,
of
did
the
you
above.
not? Did you not? I haven't read this book here yet, but did you not write? There are people who know fuck all about journalism and fuck all about cars, and in 3 months' time, they've got video channels with 6 billion followers.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But that's
the
point I'm trying to make.
Hence
That's
the
the point.
influence of it. See that? It's because it's all part of the game now. It's all part of the game.
The part of the game is to do everything unconventionally as possible. Seemingly.
As Stephen and Vicky will confirm, which is what I've talked about as well. So the rules
If you read the
are
book, you'll see
there
that.
are no rules.
The rules are there are no rules.
Well, here, I'll give you a perfect example. And you guys are all on our channel, right? We have your shows, and we broadcast some of your reviews. Everything we do on 2OF channel is we were told we'd never do. We'd never
every
do.
single rule. You
We
do.
broke
If you look at all the YouTube gurus, if you look at all of the know-it-alls, you're breaking every single Every single
Cool.
one of those, and you've got a plaque, and you've got a YouTube plaque. So I mean,
We have a
kudos.
YouTube plaque,
I
and,
think
and,
you
and
need
I'm just
to.
keep
I
going up.
think you need to go back to the original name. Two white guys. Two old white guys.
Two old white guys, yeah. In this,
Or,
in this
was
day
it
and
something
age.
like that, or just white guys?
2 old
No,
farts. I think it was just 2 old farts.
the first time we did it, the show was the channel for. If you go back and look at the very first couple shows, it's called Two Old White Guys. And then as the show started to pick up, people were like, you need to change that. So then it became Two Old Farts Making
Who
Noises.
said this? Who said?
And then
you need
other
to
people
change
were
it?
like, you have to change it, lawyers. And then they were like, because they were saying, if could you keep racist.
Oh,
You know,
when
I
you say
get,
lawyers,
I get, I
when you
get
say
people
lawyers,
commenting.
When you
I
say
get people.
lawyers, when you say lawyers, are you talking about people whose morals based on who's paying them?
Sure. Mike,
You know,
Right,
I get
right.
comments on my channel,
Yeah.
right, quite frequently,
Right.
because I'm the brown car guy. They're like, what if
Yeah.
we called ourselves the white car guy? I'm like, go ahead.
Yeah, why, who
Go
cares?
ahead. Go for it.
Yeah.
Who's stopping you?
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
So-
what if we call ourselves the yellow car guys? Go ahead. Do it.
Well, 2OF, if you think of it, it's still Two Old Farts. It's Two Old.
Yeah.
It's 2OF, Two Old Farts Entertainment. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. We just shortened it because we did get like famous economists now that are coming on Lost Dollar, and they were like,
Thank you.
my publicist says I shouldn't go on a channel called Two Old Farts or Two Old. So we changed it to 2OF Entertainment. They're like, oh, I can go on that. I'm like, great, it's the same thing. So, but yeah, it works out well. I mean, it's nice. I like it for this, that the four of us or the three of us, four of us get together.
Oh,
We
here
can
we go.
have a dialogue. Okay, no, he's
gone now.
yeah, he'll be back.
Ever the contrarian.
There you go. But no, I like it that we can have a dialogue, and it's a civil dialogue, whether we agree or not agree. And I like also that we have a female's perspective, and we have Riz's perspective, and yours and mine. But I like that. I like that about all our
Different
shows.
category.
We have a different category of people on all our shows. All the hosts are different on all the shows.
We have a whole multiple of farts now. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch. But
Don't
it's
buy
good
this
because
book.
everybody's
Don't buy this book. You want this book? Just
go.
message me. I'll send you this one for free.
Yeah, buy the books. Buy the book. You buy them on Amazon, everybody. So there you go. I think our show's gone off the rails. So
I was going to say, I don't even know what's happening anymore. I'm just sipping
I
my
know,
tea.
Ricky. You just sit there and you do your job. You sit there and look pretty. So we'll get you a new boyfriend. Some president of some country is going to want you. So,
Some president of some country eventually. I hear Bangladesh is open to offers.
there you're very much. Well,
I think I heard Rishi Sunak wants a green card. So it's like,
Wow.
Listen, I don't understand this Rishi Sunak obsession. He is the snotty child that you would beat up
Oh
at
my
school,
God.
and you forever be that, right? It doesn't matter. You can be driving around in a cavalcade with police cars and say, "Oh, I'm the prime minister," or "was the prime minister." It doesn't mean anything.
look,
You're
the
just
toddlers.
person who was bullied at school.
In a world where toddlers are in charge, we might as well have the snotty kids instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Same with Suella Braverman, and the same with Priti
Oh,
Patel.
she's the devil incarnate.
All of these are
she
the
is the,
nerds of their
West,
time.
you know.
All right, so here's a question before we leave. 30 days from now, when we do this, we'll sermon on the German or from the German. Where will we be globally?
Dead.
Pick one thing, and where do you think we're going to be? Will the UK
Dead.
market, cow
It's the
market be
same.
dead?
The thermonuclear
Just
war will have
everything be
happened.
slightly more expensive. That's it.
Okay.
We'll just be frozen carcasses because we caught in
Okay,
the
nice. Good to
nuclear
know.
blast. That's it.
I
That's-
predict.
Right,
I
okay.
predict that one of Shazad's predictions will fall flat. And I can tell you which prediction. Shazad's prediction was, and you can, so you don't have to. You can find it. It's digitally on the social interweb. Yeah, his prediction was that by 2030,
Yeah.
no one will be driving cars. They will be all self-driving cars. That's
Okay.
his prediction.
No,
Okay.
it wasn't. It
No,
wasn't.
which means no is I'll find the video, send it to you,
It
and just
wasn't.
make embarrass
It wasn't. I've always been contrary to that. I've always been contrary
No,
to that.
you said,
And I
you
said that
no,
that
you
we're
said-
getting closer. I said
You
we're getting
said
closer.
you said that by 2030, which is 5 years away, or
No, I didn't say
4
that.
years and 8-9 months.
I did not say that. People just buy the books.
You said that. You said no. You said this. You said this.
Just
that
buy the
people will
books.
not be driving cars.
He
There
knows
will be
not
no
what he's
one driving
speaking.
cars. In
But if
fact,
you
I
read my
remember
books,
asking
you
you
will
a
be
direct
wiser.
question. I remember now. Now I know where. I remember asking you a direct question on one of the programs that Stephen forced me to interrupt, and I asked you the question. I asked you the question. Put the controversial books away. These are the mine cars of the present current times, right? Okay. Listen, you said, I asked you, when will we no longer be driving cars? You said 2030, there will be no one driving cars.
No.
Because everybody will be dead, probably. It has nothing to do.
Right.
Yes,
with
that's
And
why. That's why.
so I
There'll
suspect
be no roads because there's potholes, so we can't drive anywhere anyway because it's
Right.
full of potholes. And
I-
secondly, we're all dead, so that's
Yeah.
it. And also
but
we've
you
got
know-
and also if we do manage to survive, we'll have transporters, so we won't need to drive.
I
But I will
suspect
tell you
that
this.
will never, ever happen. It will never happen. And it will also never happen because otherwise Shazad's
There we
chapter
go.
1 in this book, which has a part 2 coming, will not come to fruition if that ever happened. So, but don't read the book. It's terrible.
But here's something else that's
Terrible
interesting. Yesterday, there was an article in the FT talking about BYD. BYD is further ahead than anybody when it comes to self-driving
Terrible.
cars and
Absolutely terrible.
technology.
Outrageous
So there you
literature.
go.
Outrageous literature.
There
No,
you
you're
go.
quite right. In fact, I read somewhere that I think actually it was one of the big American CEOs has actually said that on record that it's the Chinese are between 3 to 10 years ahead technology-wise.
According to the
And-
article, they're about 10
That's
years
because they-
ahead.
And then if you
And
look
that's
at all this talk about we don't like Chinese cars, we don't like my biggest video at the moment on TikTok, it's just gone bonkers. It's that one
Is the
where
BYD card.
I'm talking to the BYD. I'm literally talking
Yeah.
to
Oh,
it,
yeah,
and
and
it's
here we
doing
go,
and it's
self-promotion.
just doing what I'm telling it to do, opening the boot, opening the
I feel the
windows, whatever.
Chinese are ahead because they concentrate more. You can see it on their faces.
That's their constipated.
That concentration. So,
No,
what
B-
are we
I-
laughing
B-
at? What are we laughing at? What?
I would
Saying
love
that they
BYD.
concentrate more.
Yeah, because they're constipated.
More
I would love
concentration.
BYD to. I would love to get a
Very
BYD car.
focused.
Their
Get a
supercar
seal.
looks really cool.
The
Vicky,
U9,
what's your final thought before we go
Yeah,
about one of your lovers, the
Stephen
Korean
Reed.
Put the
president,
world
North
to
Korean
order. Put the
president?
world.
Yeah.
Even
I'm
Stephen needs a toilet break.
not even paying attention anymore.
It's okay. I'll
That's
concentrate.
because she's busy reading my books off air. That's what she's doing.
That's right.
exactly
She's reading
what
the books.
what I'm doing.
Well, guys, this has been a most enjoyable and interesting show.
You're welcome.
Sermon on
Welcome.
the German. Yeah, well, no, of course. And for you people, Vicky will be back on Monday on Adam on the Eve, where it's just as crazy if you're listening or watching. And Riza and I will be on Habano's Saturday live this Saturday morning, which we broadcast Saturday night.
Avec
And
cigars.
And smoking cigars, thank God, and drinking scotch. And this show is once a month, Sermon from the German with Sherrod, and it'll be rebroadcasted tomorrow morning as the podcast will come out as well. And next month, then we're doing a UFO show. Is that what we
Let's do it.
decided?
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
next month there's UFOs. We can invite
Quantum
Riza
races.
because he's into UFOs, so we'll invite him.
Aliens,
And sure.
alien races.
I am an
all
alien.
in
I
there.
am an alien. Don't read that book.
Yeah.
Very controversial book. Don't read it. I believe
Oh
that
my God.
if you read that book, you'll start thinking like Donald Trump.
Oh my! Well, that's going to be a lot of good people for MAGA people.
Absolutely.
So,
I won't say any bad words. I'll just say it's very controversial.
Make books great again.
there you go. Make books great again. That's the motto of the show.
MBG.
I'll take MAGA money.
There you go. I'll take anybody's money. What are you kidding?
Yeah.
He's one step away from being a Jew. All right, so there you go. And I'm a Jew. I can say that. Anyway, kids, don't forget to like and subscribe to all to everybody that's normally here and to our special guests. Thank you for all you guys that were watching and listening. Thank you so much. We'll see everybody next month on Sermon from the German. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Cheers, everybody.
Thank God that's over.